Hello, everyone. Today on this episode, we are going to explore the courage it takes to move through midlife, the courage to question old roles, to make changes, and to step into what's next with honesty and heart.
And for me, midlife is also about sovereignty, reclaiming your energy, trusting your inner wisdom, and choosing how you want to live rather than who you've been expected to be.
So, for those of you who don't know me yet, I am Kim Benoy, and I am the host of a podcast called Midlife with Courage. And today, Rose and I are going to do kind of a little something different. We're going to talk with each other and share this episode with our own audiences. So it's going to be a fun experiment. Rose and I connected online, and we have so many things in common, which we might get into that later. But we just have this connection that we want to both help midlife women in our own ways, but we can do it even better together. So that's where this came from.
Hi, I'm Rose Wippich, and this is Chat Off the Mat, along with Midlife with Courage with Kim Benoy. And I'm really excited about this episode because Kim and I met very briefly, and we knew right away that we wanted to collaborate on something a little bit more powerful. So, power comes in numbers. On this episode, we're collaborating on the topic of midlife with courage and also sovereignty. So I'm really excited to be here with you, Kim.
Yes, this is going to be so fun. I love a challenge but it's a fun challenge. So we're going to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
fun.
This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's just get right into it. We're going to talk about several different topics, but we want to start out with our identity and reinvention. And a lot of women at this point ask, who am I now? And that's a big question, right? So we want to think about what parts of our identity are shifting in midlife because we change and we evolve. And when I think about this question, I think of the roles I've had in my life. Parenting probably is my number one, and how that changes um, as our kids get older and they start leaving the house. Now, Rose and I are at two different stages with
Yeah.
that.
But we both have twins.
We both have twins. Yes, there's one of those things that we have in common. So, I was a very young twin mom, and you came into the role as a seasoned and woman with more wisdom
Yes. And less energy.
and less
But it worked
energy.
out.
Yes. One of the roles in my life has been as a nurse. I was I was in nursing for 27 years as a registered nurse and left that profession a few years ago and haven't looked back, but I still have that caretaking role in my mind. And as we get into midlife, I feel we need to start taking care of ourselves, make that more of a priority than taking care of everybody else. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now with that, where that part of my identity has been shifting a little bit. What about you, Rose?
Yeah, I love that you said that. I think that as women, we have so many identities, so many labels, so many things that we've done that parts of ourselves get lost in those. And I really have been coming up, I don't know, spirit is guiding me to really talk about returning to the self
Mm,
because we lose parts of ourselves. And some of the parts that we lose are okay, like we're shedding those old things, but we still are, the partner and the mom and the daughters and the caretakers and the people pleasers and all those things. And I
mm,
think when we start to let go of some of those things and really think about what we want to do in our lives, and as we get older, our life gets shorter. So like we have like, wow, I want to travel, or I want to
yeah.
reinvent myself, or not, I really like doing that. I'd like to spend more time like that. We really need to honor what that inner guidance is telling us. I think that's really important to tune in and listen.
hmm hmm Yeah, that's another thing we have in common too, because that's really been my focus, especially over the last year. I've been kind of led that direction. And when we talk about our shifting roles, it's really we're outgrowing things,
Mm, I
you
like that.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I left nursing, I expected that I'd feel sad about it, or maybe I would regret it. And someone pointed out to me, and I didn't, is the point. And someone pointed out to me, well, you just checked that box off. You were done with that. Now you're moving on to something else.
Yeah, I
And that
love
helped,
that.
yeah, it just helped me process that a little better and like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And
Yeah,
again,
We have an attachment sometimes to things like, you'll always be a nurse. You'll always be someone who's
Hmm.
an empath and a healer.
Hmm.
When you said nurse before, I thought of my own role as now I feel like I'm a healer in a way
Hmm.
that I help guide others to help heal themselves. And you'll always
Sure.
have that as part of you.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I think that when we change roles, that we're stepping through, the way I look at it is that we're either closing a book on a part of our lives that we're done with that book and we put it back on the shelves, or we're walking through a portal and we're taking parts of those selves
Mm.
and, you know, repurposing it.
Yeah. I love that. Repurposing.
You know how
Yeah.
we repurpose things in our house?
Yeah.
We're repurposing some of our skills.
Right. And as we get to this point too, we kind of look, what is our purpose? Well, we're repurposing what we've done and bringing it
Yeah. Yeah. Or what
forward.
do I want? You started off by saying, like, people ask themselves, women ask themselves, what do I do now? But the beauty of that, the power behind that is they're not saying, hopefully, most women are not saying, I'm done. I don't want to do anything, or I'm too old to do something, because you're
Mm.
not. There's so much you can still do. And I think as women get older and they transition out of traditional roles, I think they start to feel this little fire energy inside that says, oh, I want to do something different. What is it that I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's possibilities start to open up, I feel.
Yes. Yeah. As
Yeah.
long as you're open to them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
you talk a lot about courage in your podcast, and courage is a
Hmm.
huge thing because we're afraid
Hmm.
of stepping into something new. I find as I get older, I'm sometimes a little bit more fearful, or that fear comes up, and I have to work harder to say, okay, listen, I know stuff. I'm not afraid. I can do this.
Yeah. I try and point out to women who are feeling afraid to just take that first step. Think about what you've already done. Did you raise a family? Did you get married and you still have a successful marriage? What did you do
Work
for
in corporate. Yeah. Did you
your
work
job, your
in your job?
career?
Right.
You were successful. We don't think about that. We don't appreciate ourselves enough. As when we get to this point, sometimes we sometimes need someone to point that out. Like, look what you just did, or look what you've done.
That's the forgotten parts.
Yeah,
We
take that.
forget. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think for most of us that have been moms, once we are so absorbed in that role, everything else gets blurry, especially when you're raising
Mhm.
twins, and I'm
Yeah.
speaking for myself, but, like the first 2 years were blurry, but everything
Yep.
becomes like, oh my God, so far in the past. But once in a while, I remind myself, like, I had a good job for a long time and I was very successful in that
Yeah.
job. And
Right.
just now I'm reinventing myself.
It's not over yet.
I love that.
Yeah.
So,
Wonderful.
yeah, so let's go on to another topic that I think is really important especially for women at any stage of their lives, and that's boundaries and also taking care of what their energy is. And once in a while, maybe not all the time, but more times than not, say no instead of always being the first one to react or act when someone needs your help. Um, I think as we're talking here, and in our some of our roles, we're the first ones. Like I always say, we're the first ones on the front line when somebody asks something, or they ask of us, and we're always saying yes, we're going to help. And what that does is it depletes our energy.
Mm.
And, I study traditional Chinese medicine and I work with Qigong and Reiki. And, when we're born, we're given so much energy. Like you have a bank account of this much energy, and our lifestyle and our habits and our stress factor and everything can deplete it. So it's really important that we are aware of when we are feeling depleted. Like that could be
Mm.
through anxiety, that could be chronic pain,
Hmm.
fatigue. And it's important to recognize that and pause and say, okay, well, what do I need to do to replenish myself? Kim, you talked about self care, right? What
Hmm.
does self care mean to somebody else? For me, it means one thing, doing my practices, pausing. Yeah. So what does it mean for you, Kim?
Self-care. It's very similar to what you just said. I love to get away, like go away from, I work from home, so I like to be like, go outside, get out in the outdoors, trees, sky, sunshine, hopefully. It's the middle of winter right now, so there's not a lot of sunshine, but just getting outside, getting that fresh air, that's for me, I need to do that. And I will find myself getting to a point where I just feel scattered. I can't
Yes.
focus on anything. And I try, and at first I'll be thinking, I just if I can just do this one thing, then I'll take a minute. But the more time that goes by and the older and wiser I get, I just realize you're not going to do anything well right now. So just take your time. Go do, go walk, go for a walk, go outside, take the dog for a walk, listen to music, read a book, just step away. That's my number one way I have to take care of myself. Just step away from it. Social media too is something that I've been really trying to cut out as much as I can because I feel that energy that's there, it's so draining and yeah, I just don't feel good. I don't feel right as I'm scrolling and reading. And so I've really made an effort to just step away from it. I have this little voice inside me saying, yes, but you need it for your business. And I'm thinking, the heck I do.
Yeah, I think taking the detoxing from the digital world is super important.
Hmm.
I love that you brought
Definitely.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
You
it's
know,
just so pervasive right now.
yeah, no, I agree. And I wanted to talk a little bit about energetic boundaries as well. Like even the
Yeah.
people in your life. I was thinking about a story about years ago. There was a woman who would call me up every morning and she would just like drain me. She would just complain and talk about everybody else and was not a nice person. And she was very just low vibrational, let's put it that way. And it drained
Hmm.
me for a long time. And then eventually she kind of cut me off because I think she felt that I wasn't really actively listening to her anymore or returning her calls.
Hmm.
She cut me off and ghosted me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so good. And I didn't have the courage to do that because part of me was afraid of her. She was like so volatile. And
Yeah.
then when that happened, I was like, that shifted everything. And that made me realize like I really need to be discerning as to who I let in my life.
Yeah.
And if there's people in your life that you really can't let go of, like physically, but you can energetically, you can just like say to your mind, like, I'm not going to get involved with that person's, shit. I'm just
Hmm.
going to let them be who they are
Hmm.
and then create that little boundary, which we can around us, this energetic
Hmm.
little armor or, you know,
Yeah.
coat of armor around us.
Yeah. Do you think she was almost sent as that situation was like a message for you? You weren't able by on your own to say no, but
Yes.
she was your message, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word.
Yeah, that was she was a teacher
Ah.
in a way.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Teacher.
realized that part of why I was hanging out with her was because I she had like a little tribe of people and I felt like I really liked the other people, but she was just, she was like the leader and
Yeah.
kind of controlled it.
Yeah.
But then I had to really dig deep and learn a little bit more about like why I felt I needed her and why I didn't need her or that energy, and that I can create
Hmm.
my own community and my own group of people who are more supportive and more understanding and more spiritually guided. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's more
Yeah.
important to find your tribe.
Definitely. Yeah. And when you find them,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's
I like
easier.
you and I, we just
Yeah.
chatted for 5 minutes and we were like, okay, we're gonna do something different. We're gonna start working together and collaborating. And I
Yeah.
think what I love
Yeah.
about being a podcaster and out in this environment is really connecting with people who are really truly resonating with my energy, with my vibration as yourself
Hmm.
and others that I've
Hmm.
met. And it's been a joy and it's really helped enrich my life even
Hmm.
more. So
Yeah. And isn't that amazing? It's through a screen and a microphone.
yeah, that vibration though travels and right? It's like our
Yeah.
our our auras are like out there saying, "Ooh, that person like, you can really connect with that person and they
Yeah.
get you." And
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like you connect. Yeah. Here, bring them together. I love that.
I
That's
love that,
amazing.
right?
Yeah. The more I learn about this energy and these energy fields. I'm just drawn to that. I love it.
Well, you already
Yeah.
are connected, being a nurse and an empath, working with people physically. You've
Yeah.
already understood what it's like to be in someone else's energy and to read that.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
part of everybody's toolkit. It's just being
Hmm.
aware
Hmm.
of it as it presents itself or how to work with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
So so our next topic, one of the topics here
Yeah.
is um is purpose and meaningful work, and we talked a little bit more about that. So
Yeah.
um I think women once when they're caregivers, it gives them purpose. When they're working, it gives them purpose, and finding something meaningful is important, right? So and
Hmm.
as we move out of those roles, it's defining success differently, I feel, is,
Yes.
so like give us, so I'll just take it from me, how I define
Yeah.
success. So we're just talking about meeting people that I can connect with and resonate with and work with. To me, that's successful. I mean, that's not
Mm.
bringing me like, you know, I'm not talking about monetary success because
Right.
I've learned that that's needed in life, but I define success differently. And it's those connections that I have. And it's also like last year I wrote a book and I wanted to write a book for a long time. And after I wrote the book, I had to remind myself a couple of times, like, Rose, you wrote a book. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. That was a big deal. Yeah, that was a big accomplishment. Okay. So, like, I had
Yeah.
that conversation in my head. So, recognizing
Mhm.
even the smallest things in your life that you're doing that are so powerful and,
Mhm.
consider those successes. Even
Mhm.
like raising my children was a huge success.
Yep.
But having the podcast, having my healing business, teaching others, inspiring others. When somebody calls me and says, "Rose, that podcast you had with that person, and that was so good, and I really loved it," I'm like, "Okay, well that's like a success for me."
Yeah. Yeah. I love that because I'm kind of along the same wavelength too. We look at success as a younger person as what the outside world says is success.
Yes.
And I think as I'm getting to this point in my life, it's more what do I feel is successful, and very similar to yours. I get to sit in front of a microphone every week and share stories of beautiful, amazing women, and that lights me up. And wow, that is wonderful. And no, I don't make millions of dollars. I don't make many dollars at all out of this.
Same.
But it's still it's what lights me up, and it's what I meant to do. And so yeah, I totally agree with that. One of the questions too that I think we wanted to talk about along these lines were what dreams kind of come up for you,
Yeah.
what
What?
resurface.
So writing the book, I've been always
Yeah.
wanted to write a book, and also this podcast. I'll tell you a brief story. Is when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a journalist. I mean, I wanted to be a sportscaster. I love sports. I used to
Ah,
write for the local papers, write for the school paper. I was like so much wanted to do that. And then somebody in my life, important person, said, it's really hard to for a woman to break that. And there was like one sportscaster at the time. It's really hard. It's a really hard business. Do you really want to do that? And I just like, that was it. I didn't pursue it. And I
uh,
was like, oh my gosh. And I always asked myself, what if I did? Where would I have been? Where would it have taken me? But maybe I wouldn't have the kids and the husband and the place I'm living at, which I love. But now I'm doing the podcast. How different? It's not any different. I
right.
write. I'm on social media, so I have a presence.
Yeah.
So it all just got packaged differently,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's where I am now. So that was a dream that came full circle.
Came in. That's so funny. And I don't know if we talked about this the first time we chatted, but that's kind of similar to what I had planned too. When I got out of high school, I was on the school newspaper. And when I got to college, I was going to be a journalist.
Oh
And so
my
I was
gosh,
on the TV station. Yeah, seriously.
we
And then I realized, I really want to have a husband and a family. And I didn't think the two could work together. And so I turned a different path, but now I'm years later, here I am doing a podcast too. And I
that
feel like
is
that was what I was meant to do. So,
yeah. That no, we didn't talk about that.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I didn't think so.
it's just amazing how that we have similar stories.
Oh my gosh. This is getting a little
I love
spooky
that.
almost.
So yeah, so if anyone listening, if you've always had a dream, if you wanted to be an artist, there's no reason why you still can't be an artist or a
Oh
dancer.
no.
You know, you can
Yes.
dance. Maybe you're not dancing on stage, or maybe you are, or you want to be
Yeah.
an actor or an actress
Yeah.
or anything, a
Yeah.
writer, right?
Yeah. Take a class. Start
Take a
writing.
class.
Take a lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Just do it. I was recently given my dad gave me a violin that my great grandpa played. I guess he was a very talented musician, and I've always wanted to play an instrument, and I just have never it just never happened. And now that I have this violin, I'm thinking, here we go.
Why not?
Why not? So I'm that's probably in my future. I'm gonna learn how to. And I've learned that it's one of the hardest instruments that you can learn. But so what?
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
Why not?
It
Why
was a
not?
gift for a reason.
Yeah,
Your grandfather is somehow giving that gift to you from
yeah,
spirit.
yeah, for sure.
I
So
love that.
never too late.
Never too late. So let's talk a little bit about visibility. And you can start with that topic about
Yeah,
your voice and how some women feel like they're taking up space and are afraid to
yeah,
get out there in the world.
yeah. Well, probably last year, end of the year before I started talking to, I started realizing through some things that I was learning that I felt invisible. I've always felt a little invisible. And in midlife, we have this need to feel more visible. We want to, we want to take up space. We want to have people, we want to be seen and valued, basically, is what it's come down to. And I love how you have the sovereignty and your, like royalty almost. And so I really had to work on that, being visible and being comfortable with that and okay with that, and even like looking for that and relishing it. And as even as part of my podcast when I've started it, I started it 5 years ago, and it was only maybe last year where I thought, okay, it's not I was thinking of myself as, well, it's my podcast, but I'm just here to highlight these other women. And it kind of started to dawn on me that no, this is my podcast and it's my voice, and that's important too. And that one little thought has just blown up and really kind of energized me to even step more into me. Like, look at me, I'm here. And it kind of ties into what you talk about too. So I just feel so right. It feels right. Like, here I am, you
I love
know.
that.
If you love me, great. If you don't, that's okay too.
Girl, you said my words. I love it. Exactly how I felt 5 years ago. I started this podcast. It was
Love
meant
it.
as a platform to highlight amazing people, which
Yeah.
I have wholeheartedly, and I still do.
Yeah.
But this year I was like, you know what? I have something to say.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to show up a little bit more with my own messaging. And I think that that's how you feel the same
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
show my authenticity and not have
Yeah.
a veil of, someone else's words or someone else's way of showing up. I'm showing up the way I want to show up.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And that's
Yeah.
important that women do that too. I struggle with that visibility as well. I mean, we have a platform, so we're here, we're in front of the crowd, we're, on camera, but there's also visibility even in your day to day.
Mhm.
Everybody looks at younger people and people who are midlife and beyond, maybe not so much, but I want to be recognized for my wisdom and for all the things that I've done. I have something to say. And for many years, I didn't say things because I said to myself, oh, nobody would want to hear me anyway. And I've had to change that because I've got a lot to say
Yeah.
and and I will express myself and be visible. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think
Right.
that all women should not feel that they're in the background but to get out in front because that's where you need to be. You need to be there to show others the amazing person you are, and to guide all the other women that are coming up in life
Mhm.
and mentor them. So we have to shift the way we feel about that visibility.
Yeah, definitely. And when you do and you feel it, other people notice it.
Yes, that energy. It's that energy change.
It's that energy. I go to a networking meeting in my area and we meet the first week of the month. And the last meeting, one of the ladies came up to me and she said, I don't know what you're doing, but I see you being more out, like I see you basically is what she said. You are more comfortable. You are here with a message and I'm just letting you know that I can see it. And that to me was like gold. Thank
Yeah,
you. Hello, it's working.
I love that. But it comes
Yeah.
from inside, right? It comes from
Hmm.
that pause and reconnecting to your voice inside and that
Hmm.
expression, that unique sense of expression and voice and authenticity. And
Yeah.
when you let that guide you, like, let that come out,
Hmm.
it's it changes everything and it changes the way people look at you, just like that woman. I love
Yeah.
that. That was a huge
Hmm.
validation for you. It was nice,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah.
And
I'm
I
like,
think
whoa.
more women should I love to do this too. And maybe
Yeah.
this is actually not off topic because when I see someone out when I'm shopping, let's say I'm at TJ Maxx, which I am like once a week, and I see some woman who has like really beautiful makeup and she could be like 80 years old and I'm like, "Oh, you look really good," or "You look really awesome in that outfit." And I
Yeah.
mean it.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, thank you." And because I'm showing them that they are seen and they're
Yes.
visible and that they're just to validate them
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I love that. I love bringing a smile to
Yeah.
someone's face, but I do it with like
Hmm.
with feeling and authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not just saying it to say it. You
No,
you mean it. And
right,
it's a
right,
way of
right.
connecting with other women too. And
Yeah,
we let go of that competition crap we had when we were younger too.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're all in
Uh,
this together.
yeah, and there's still women who still feel that way, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I go out with no makeup, and I'm not worried about how I look because as long as I feel good, I'm
Yeah.
good. You
Who
know.
cares? Yeah.
Yeah, who cares,
Who
right?
cares?
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
I love that.
Well, we should, that kind of segues into the one of the topics we kind of wanted to talk about was relationships
Yeah,
and authentic connections with other people. How our friendships maybe change as we go along. Do we want to slip into that topic for a minute?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've had any friendships that have changed. I definitely have, as we go through our life.
yeah, I have.
Yeah. Do you want to share some of that, or do you want me to go first? How do you want
You can
to?
go. Yeah,
Oh,
we can talk about it together.
yeah. I kind of have like kind of both ways. I've people who I've been close to in the past have kind of drifted off, and I've also had people I've reconnected with um, because we've paid attention and paid more time. I had some college girlfriends that we hadn't seen each other in years, and one of them, her name's Holly. She invited us all to her house up in northern Wisconsin for a weekend, and that was a year ago. And we've done it. We've continued to do it every few months, and the second time we met, I said, I've seen you two more, or this group more in the last year than I have since college. And she said, we're making the time to do it now. And like, oh yeah. So it's important to us. So we're making the time. So I think as things change and people maybe drift away, it's maybe that relationship has reached
Yeah.
its I don't want to say end, but maybe it is an ending in a way. You
Yeah.
know?
I think endings in relationships are happen a lot for me.
Yeah.
And I often question why, like, why have I not heard from that person? And, it, and I have to say, I mourn those moments because
Hmm.
I really have tried to nurture um, individual relationships, especially with other moms. But then maybe our children are now in college or someone has moved and it's harder.
Hmm.
Um, and I have a hard time letting go. But I'm learning that it's just meant to be that way, and we still have a thread or two of that connection. It's not just like constant.
Hmm.
And but I've also created. mindfully smaller groups that I connect with on a regular basis with group chats. And, we get
Yeah.
together. I have my little Reiki groups
Mm.
that I've nurtured, and we are close. And when we need each other, we text each other for healing or whatever it is.
Nice.
Yeah. And I've also had some people that I've reconnected with at the right time when I needed to have them either as a, a friend, a teacher. And I think the same goes with teachers in our lives. I've had a lot of teachers in my life, whether
Hmm.
through yoga or qigong or spiritually. We
Hmm.
connect with them, we learn from them, and then we kind of let them go. And those are relationships that, you know, we let go because we get to a point where we've become less of a student and more of someone who's like a self-contained healer, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but having, relationships are defined differently for everybody, but I think that, having a social aspect in your life is really important, especially
Hmm.
as we age, because we don't want to feel isolated. I
Yeah.
struggle with that because I love to be home
Hmm.
and do my thing and read my book. And but sometimes I'm like, you know what? I need to have those social connections. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm the same way too. I kind of like winter because when I want to, like, if there's a really nice snowstorm, I'm really excited because it means I don't have to go anywhere.
Me too.
But yes, the connection with other women and going out like socially, yes, I totally, I think I crave it sometimes too. Like, but but I think now we have to really pay attention to that and make more of an effort sometimes to do
Yeah,
that because it is so easy to just text. I mean, I have a group of friends too that we have a text chat that we every day we text something. Somebody has to say something, share or whatever. Um, so that's easy, but trying to make time to get together in person is a little more challenging sometimes. Just,
but
yeah,
we could do it. But we
but
can
we,
make it happen. And I think, like
yeah,
to your point, it's important that we have
yeah,
that physical in person connection. And yeah,
yeah,
winter. Me too. Winter, I
yeah,
feel like I'm in a snow globe,
yeah,
but the snow's on the outside, and I'm in my little warm little
yeah,
cozy home.
cozy. Yeah,
And then spring and summer, the time of rising energy where we get out in nature and we see other people and it's like you
yeah,
feel really good and you want to make those connections. And
yeah,
yeah, it's just a cycle. I think it's just like anything
yeah,
else. It's a cycle, just like with our friends coming in and out. But yeah, but it's
yeah.
really important to make those connections because even as mothers, we sometimes tend to isolate ourselves when our children are young. And
Hmm.
some of those, one of the things I wanted to mention too is that I stopped drinking 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
And friendships change,
Ah, sure.
right? And
Yeah,
that was my biggest fear. Talk about courage. Like, I was
yeah,
like, okay, well, I know people are going to either not hang out with me more or whatever it is. And it's
yeah,
all good.
yeah.
There you go. So
Love
we
it.
should probably wrap up soon, right? And
Do we have to?
I know we can go on, and maybe we'll do like a second one of this, and we have other ideas to do other things as
We
well.
sure do.
But let's end with I guess the topic, the last topic is about joy, freedom, and what's possible now or at any time, actually. So I
Mm.
just want to say for me, joy or contentment means waking up and knowing that I'm being guided to do my best work, um, stay in a high vibration, do what's best for myself as well, not feel guilty about pleasures in life, whatever that means for you, and you can label that in any way, and knowing that I'm here to guide other women, especially on a journey to sovereignty and to living their life fully, and that makes me happy. So to find what makes you content or anybody content, that's what you need to do because you make your own happiness. Don't look outside of someone else for that happiness.
Clapping.
Thank you.
I love that. That's similar for me too. Uh, yeah, when I literally when I am happy about something or I'm feeling joyful, I literally clap my hands like I just did. it just comes out. That's how and people who know that about me, they'll, when they see me do it, oh, you're happy. We like that. That's good. Um, but and it's usually something along the lines where I've found a way to work with someone else, like not work, but collaborate, like you said too, and come together with a common message that you matter and I matter. And that just lights me up. That's why I do what I do. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. But I feel so right about it that that energy just is there and it's amazing and it's just guiding me to where I need to be. And that,
Love that.
yeah,
And you've used the term, and I use this a lot as well, lights me up.
yeah,
So the message for everyone out there is what lights you up,
yeah,
and allow that energy, that light to take you wherever you need to go to make your life just magnificent and magical, right?
yes, definitely. Yeah. That's a question I answered. That's what started me all on this podcast journey. That's
Yeah.
I answered that question and here I am.
And I love that. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy and grateful that I've met you and
Me
that
too.
we decided to do this collaboration together. And this will show up as our separate podcast, but it's one episode that we decided to do together.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much. And
This is
I would like to just chime in and say I hope we'd love to get some feedback on this from the people listening as well.
yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
yeah, if you're listening Midlife with Courage, there's a little box that you can click to say, send me a text, and you can give us feedback there. I think you do something similar with
Yeah,
yours.
as well. You can email me. Kim, just talk a little bit more about yourself. Then we can end the
Yeah,
show with each of us doing that. Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Midlife with Courage, if you want to find me, that's what you can type in anywhere. I have a website, Midlife with Courage, and my podcast, of course. Um, I really am focused, like as I said, about sharing stories of other women who have amazing journeys and messages to share. And I'm also this year, well, 2025, I started delving into some courage and confidence activities with other women. So I have a courage and confidence circle and an online community called Midlife with Courage. It's in the school platform. And I would love to have people reach out to me and see how we can connect and do some great things together.
I love that. And I get all your emails too, and I'm on your Facebook group. So I
Yay.
encourage everybody to do that. And I'm Rose Wippich, and I am the producer and host of Chat Off the Mat. You can find me at rosewippich.com with my offerings. I'm also the author of Empress Rising, Own Your Energy, Trust Your Wisdom, and Rewrite the Rules of Aging. So if you need to contact either one of us, please feel free. We would love to hear from you. No, thank you.
Thank you, Rose. This has been amazing.